Legal rights for individuals with dyslexia. There are several legal rights that individuals with dyslexia may have, depending on the laws of their country or region. Some examples of legal rights related to dyslexia include the right to an education. Children with dyslexia have the right to a free and appropriate education, as outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, in the United States. The right to protection from discrimination. Individuals with dyslexia are protected from discrimination on the basis of their disability by laws such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, in the United States. The right to privacy. The confidentiality of an individual's medical information, including the fact that they have dyslexia, is protected by laws such as the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the United States. It is important to note that the specific legal rights of individuals with dyslexia may vary depending on the laws of the country or region in which they live. In the United States, individuals with dyslexia have several legal rights, including the right to a reasonable accommodation. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, employers and schools are required to provide reasonable accommodations to individuals with dyslexia, such as extra time on tests or the use of assistive technology, as long as doing so does not create an undue burden. The right to an education. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, guarantees children with dyslexia the right to a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment. This includes the right to individualized education plans, IEPs, and special education services, as needed. The right to protection from discrimination. The ADA and other laws protect individuals with dyslexia from discrimination on the basis of their disability. This includes protection in employment, housing, and public accommodations. The right to privacy. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, protects the confidentiality of an individual's medical information, including the fact that they have dyslexia. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, is a federal law in the United States that prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability. The ADA applies to employers, schools, and public accommodations and requires them to provide reasonable accommodations to individuals with disabilities as long as doing so does not create an undue burden. Dyslexia is a specific type of learning disability that affects an individual's ability to read, spell, and process written and spoken language. Dyslexia is recognized as a disability under the ADA, and individuals with dyslexia may be entitled to reasonable accommodations in the workplace or in school as long as they meet the criteria for coverage under the ADA. Some examples of reasonable accommodations for individuals with dyslexia may include extra time on tests or assignments, the use of assistive technology such as text-to-speech software, or the provision of printed materials in alternative formats. The specific accommodations that are appropriate for an individual with dyslexia will depend on their needs and the specific demands of the job or academic program. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, is a federal law in the United States that guarantees children with disabilities the right to a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment. IDEA applies to children with disabilities, including dyslexia, who are enrolled in public schools. Under IDEA, children with dyslexia have the right to receive special education and related services, as needed, to help them access the curriculum and make progress in school. These services may include things like specialized instruction, assistive technology, and accommodations such as extra time on tests or assignments. IDEA also requires schools to develop individualized education plans, IEPs, for children with dyslexia and other disabilities. An IEP is a document that outlines the specific goals and accommodations that a child with dyslexia will need in order to receive a free and appropriate education. The IEP is developed by a team of educators and other professionals in consultation with the child's parents or guardians. Overall, IDEA provides important protections and rights for children with dyslexia in the United States, helping to ensure that they receive the support and accommodations they need to succeed in school. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, is a federal law in the United States that protects the confidentiality of an individual's medical information. HIPAA applies to covered entities such as hospitals, doctors' offices, and insurance companies, and sets standards for the protection of personal health information. Under HIPAA, individuals have the right to access and control their own medical information, including information about their diagnosis and treatment for dyslexia or any other medical condition. HIPAA also imposes strict rules on how covered entities can use and disclose an individual's medical information, including information about dyslexia. For example, HIPAA prohibits covered entities from disclosing an individual's medical information without their consent unless certain exceptions apply. This means that an individual's diagnosis and treatment for dyslexia cannot be shared with others, including employers or schools, without the individual's permission. Overall, HIPAA helps to ensure the confidentiality of an individual's medical information, including information about dyslexia, and gives individuals control over how their information is used and shared. An Individualized Education Plan, IEP, is a document that outlines the specific goals and accommodations that a child with dyslexia or other disabilities will need in order to receive a free and appropriate education. The IEP is developed by a team of educators and other professionals, in consultation with the child's parents or guardians, and is required by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDA, for children with disabilities who are enrolled in public schools in the United States. The IEP is tailored to the specific needs of the child with dyslexia and may include accommodations such as extra time on tests or assignments, the use of assistive technology, or modifications to the curriculum. The IEP is reviewed and updated regularly to ensure that it continues to meet the child's needs and to track their progress. Overall, the IEP is an important tool for ensuring that children with dyslexia receive the support and accommodations they need to succeed in school. It helps to ensure that these children have equal access to education and the opportunity to make progress in their studies. By theglp.org